Hi, good evening. My name is Mrinal Dhar, and at the middle of this night tonight, it's Lodi today. I am very happy to talk about something that has really excited me and given me a great leverage to look at neuroscience from the point of view of metaphysical inquiry that is contained in great, thought-provoking, spiritual realms like Sanatan Dharma, like Buddhism, and some other treatises. Anyway, coming back to neuroscience, it's a great, it's a great a period in the field of neuroscience where we have absolutely amazing research giants and revolutionary neuroscientists like Christopher Koch, Antonio Damasio, Valinor Ramachandran, and my most adorable and the most endearing of them all, the Gol Damalu, the white fair Damalu, Sri Mr. George Lakoff. Why am I today here? What am I doing? What is the purpose of this vlog? The purpose of this vlog is the breathtaking revolution in the field of neuroscience in the name of Pan Psychism. Philosophers, neurologists, neurobiologists, neuroscientists, all of them together, for whatever reasons, are certainly facing a great challenge in terms of understanding consciousness. We were always never sure of what is consciousness. We were always making progress and discovering that, oh, this is not consciousness, this is something else. For example, now we know this is sentience, we know what is sentience. Sentience is where the life form has a life. It can breathe, okay? That's sentience, okay? There are so many injuries where neuroscientists who deal with brain damage or brain injury are very, very convincingly telling others that this is a brain damage, but this is not brain dead. Okay, this is very, very important here. Okay, I have heard so many scientists talk about great recoveries they have made in terms of their patients being in the sleep or in coma for last 10 years, 12 years, 8 years, and then the patient comes back and when the relatives, when the near and dear ones of such a patient walk up to this neuroscientist, this neurosurgeon, and ask him, is this a relative of ours? Is this brother or father of ours brain dead? The neuroscientist, because then there are so many technicalities out of it there. He cannot lie, and I've heard so many of neurosurgeons and neuroscientists who are dealing with trauma, brain trauma, say to their patients, and say it openly in world science forums, that they have to tell their relative that, no, I'm sorry, he's not brain dead. It's a lesion in the brain. The consciousness is gone. He's in coma, comatose, but he's not brain dead. Now that's what I'm talking about. The lines are emerging. The lines of differentiation and discrimination are emerging. We're trying to look at the whole thing now as sentience, as in consciousness. Okay? Sentience is your breathing. Sentience is you are a life form. But what is consciousness? Nobody can understand, nobody can talk about, nobody can even explain it till date. Till date, we don't know what is consciousness. Till date, the bigger problem, the more complex problem, we don't know how are we conscious. We don't know where are we coming from. We don't know why do we grow. We don't know how do we feel, how do we experience whatever we want to experience. We don't know. We don't know why are we experiencing. We don't know where does this this consciousness to experience things comes from. We don't know where does this consciousness go suddenly. How does it appear? How does it appear? How does it make us feel there is a world? How do we perceive things? How, when the perception is happening, because perception is not as glamorous as we feel the world. Perception is simple. It's not that glamorous, okay? It is a very simple process. But then, whether it's visual perception or auditory perception, when it's going inside and when our various cortical regions, especially the limbic brain and the prefrontal cortex, when they are, because they operate together, it's very difficult to understand which part of the brain is operating which part of the brain. Hypothalamus is taking care of your endocrine glands. Hypothalamus is also involved in your autonomous nervous system, and then you have your thalamic activity out there. Then you have your hippocampus. Jesus Christ! What a great organ, what a great function it has. I mean, it's always making you feel the word in terms of learned memory. Whatever memory of whatever emotions you have, whatever experiences you have, it stores it in them, and then you are driving forth into future. You're driving forth into your interactions with people around you using all the learned memory. I mean, it's both a boon and a curse. Boon because you have something to feel about, you have something to look around, you have your hypothesis, hypothesis to predict what will happen at least, and if the prediction is not going good, it doesn't go as per what you had imagined, you at least have the freedom to alter your actions, and then that is taken again into consideration by hippocampus, and then again a new effective learned memory is generated to help you deal with new ecosystem, or the same ecosystem, or the new situations within the same ecosystem with the previous learned memory, and probably predict better, or maybe keep altering till you gain a sort of a wisdom, collective learned memory, where there are not too many new situations to deal with, and your hypotheses are generally going right. So this whole limbic part, and then of course the prefrontal, which comes into action, and that it's taking care of your insight, it's taking care of your what to do, what not to do, and taking care of how to solve some problems. This is all done by consciousness. Your brain is conscious. Your brain creates that kind of vividness inside it. Now, some of the neuroscientists were and still are of the opinion that brain creates consciousness. Consciousness is biological. But at the same time, we have a lot of evidence now that there are some unicellular organisms which just don't have brain, or there are other species from other kingdoms, like plant kingdoms, which have no brain at all, but they have a conscious experience. I was just going through a speaker in the World Science Forum. I was going through her great observations yesternight, and she talks about it. She says, I drop a plant from 40 feet. The first time I drop the plant, it covers itself with its own leaves. It brings the leaves together and tries to save itself, protect itself. Now, the plant doesn't have a brain, but the conscious experience is there. Now, there's a problem. That means, and that's what neurologists and neuroscientists and all the great revolutionaries in the field of neuroscience and consciousness and the pursuit of neuroscience of consciousness are beginning to emerge with this great idea that consciousness is definitely not biological. It is non-biological. It is possible to have a non-biological consciousness. And then I am, as a neurocoach, taking it forward, and I'm analyzing it in the light of Pan Psychism, and I think that is it really limited to a particular body? I mean, I don't know. We don't want to go back to the Descartes and start assuming that mind is separate from the body. I know body and mind work together. I mean, it's the body and the brain which create the mind with the external environment. But then, aren't we forgetting one thing, that we are running into the realm of contradictions again and again? Because if consciousness is non-biological, then it is definitely not limited to one particular entity, that is my body or your body. It has to be an integrated information system, IIS. It's an integrated information system, and that's why the mirror neurons in my prefrontal cortex can create empathy when I look at somebody dying or wounded or injured or facing a problem. Because what is it that my mirror neurons are able to gather the whole simulation, visualize it, take it inside, the whole suffering goes inside, it simulates it inside, and I feel that it's not disparate, it's me who's suffering equally just by looking at him. I mean, if I am looking at somebody and my mirror neurons can simulate it, then it's no more that particular person or that particular body which is suffering. Now, it's you, myself, and that person. We are together and they're suffering because of my mirror neurons. Now, mirror neurons are a biological phenomenon of prefrontal cortex, but then how come my mirror neurons can grasp it? Where did that ability to grasp the whole pain go into my brain? How did my mirror neurons capture it? That consciousness. I don't know. It's just not possible that my mirror neurons suddenly created consciousness. My consciousness has to be there all the time. It may be inherent, latent, hidden, inactive. Brain and consciousness. It's entering into the psychological realm of our beingness. And probably it is not psychological, it's parapsychological. It's more pan-psychic. We are definitely getting closer to what Bhagavan Raman Maharshi or what Mahanandamayi very, very categorically displayed in their beingness, that we are conscious and consciousness together. One. Prem, Anand. This is Mrinalda, a neuroscience-based coach. I'm in India. I live in Gurgaon, which is near New Delhi, and I love to. That's my life. Consciousness, brain, neuroscience, Pan Psychism, and the beingness. And I would love to see if this video can reach the greatest of the human beings, like Christopher Koch. I'm absolutely enthralled to have listened to him, and I'm really, really very happy to see how he he devours anybody or anyone coming into the picture, and it's very vocal about what he thinks about consciousness. In fact, the other day he was telling an interviewer that he is open to the idea that because consciousness is not merely biological, he said he is open to the idea that machines do get conscious, and machines do have conscious experience. Jesus, this is too much. Very well, thank you so much. You take care and have a good night. Bye-bye. Pray.